I'm Mike Bradner, and this is Capitol Views, and we have with us Representative Bob Herron, who hails from Bethel, but a much more expansive territory than that, the whole Yukon Delta virtually, and Kuskokwim Delta. Bob, you're co-chair of the Alaska Arctic Policy Committee now. Some things have happened. Tell us, the reports you received and what you put on the table.
Well, the discussion is about how we can maximize the possibilities that are coming our way related to the Arctic. But at the same time, we have to make sure we minimize all the risks that are coming our way as well. The Northern Sea route across the top of Russia is going through the Bering Straits. The Northwest Passage is becoming a reality. But at the same time, we're being faced with a lot of vessel traffic that comes from the south and goes through Unimak Pass, goes up into the Bering Sea, and then comes out past Adak in the Great Circle route. And what it's demonstrating is our lack of infrastructure for oil response, for oil spill mitigation, and tied with that is that we have resources that could be extracted to our benefit. And so we're lacking in ports. We're lacking in areas of safe refuge. But fortunately, just by geography, by the Bering Straits, there of course is the port of Nome and then Point Clarence, which is a safe refuge, a natural safe harbor. But we also need infrastructure on the other side of the Bering Strait, north of the Bering Strait, around Point Hope and then over to Barrow, then of course to our boundary with Canada. There is much that needs to be done, and the plan is to take a holistic view of that and not try to let a strong part of our state, a strong lobbying effort by a particular community to override the holistic view of building an infrastructure that not only helps us in economic development, but is how we can protect our shores from the potential risks.
And if the traffic begins to come through the Northwest Passage, and that may be sometime in the future, but anything that lands on the development board is going to take time to develop also. We also have the shale prospect in the area. Point Barrow and that coast is a long way from the Bering Straits. So it's going to need something there that can police that traffic.
Yes, and obviously the Bering Strait, the choke point, the international choke point is the key. It's only 52 miles wide. The people that use the Northern Sea route they stay on the Russian side, and of course we stay on our side. But I hope it never happens. But we have to protect our shores from the possibility of a major oil spill from either just the oil that a large vessel is carrying to maybe them carrying large quantities of some sort of condensate. So that is the worry, is that that with our federal partner, the state of Alaska has to think Arctic, has to think about the benefits, but realize that we have significant risk by not having those infrastructures available on the west coast and the northern coast of Alaska.
Well, we need someplace, if nothing else, to secure a vessel that's in trouble, loses power, or does something to get them to some refuge. You mentioned Point Clarence, that's right on the Bering Straits, and the old whalers used to lay up there, as I remember. But it's got some shallow water too, and some challenges.
But I would say that the Corps of Engineers has not come out definitively and said it. It's Point Clarence and the Nome dual port system is very high on their list. It probably has an extremely good chance of be considered the one. But we also have on Alaska. They've saved many a ship in the Great Circle route. So we're there but
But
much more
won't
to
we
come.
need them too? I mean,
Oh, absolutely.
they're a long way away. They got a support structure. You might say they're way down there, and so we need. I guess we call them security ports that give first the security that you're talking about,
Mm-hmm.
and then we have our own developments.
Yeah, and the way to look at it in maybe an easier way is when you're in the north, the indigenous people up there, they call the Chukchi and the Beaufort their garden. In the Bering Sea, there are many communities that consider the Bering Sea their garden. But because of the Yukon and the Kuskokwim, two major rivers that go through the center of Alaska, if the Bering Sea is damaged in some way, it's going to affect the rivers and the tributaries of a lot of part of Alaska. So this dynamic between the Bering Sea and the Arctic is very important to realize.
Well, in many respects, the Kuskokwim and the Yukon River are highways natural highways that lead to the Bering Sea, and whatever happens up those rivers is going to have to exit there. And it's as far as we're concerned, it's the same area. I mean, so. What else? I mean, when do we see some of this define itself?
Oh, it's defining itself every day.
As we speak.
We can't, in my opinion, there's a lot of events surrounding us in many aspects of our lives, but we cannot pause and reflect on what we may have made mistakes in the past. We have to work, we have to be, we have to think, we have to have an Arctic footing, and I want my colleagues in the legislature to gain that understanding.
Bob, we're out of time. And I'm Mike Bradner, and this is Capitol Views. We've been talking to Bob Herron, who's the representative from Western Alaska, more expansive than Bethel. And Bob, thank you for being with us.
Thank you.